White talking recently about John Skipper and how he got, blackmailed for his cocaine use. He lost his job. He had to walk away. There are repercussions. What are the repercussions here? What are the repercussions here? Where's the accountability? Why the silence? That's what I want to know. Why the silence? And so I'll say one last thing on all of this, and then we could put all of this to bed and we could get to the awards. As I said, it's been way too personal. And it has reached levels that I never thought in a million years that it would reach. And I've debated in my mind over the last few days if I go to a certain place, and I'm not going to go to a certain place. I'm not going to go to a certain place because this ultimately isn't about me, and I don't want it to be about me, but it needs to be about the sport. It needs to be about who is leading this sport and who is involved in this sport and the way in which people view the sport. And so I'm not going to go to a certain place. But I will say this. Of all the things that Dana White has said about me, all the lies, all the insults, all the bullshit, all the nonsense, all the mean, vitriolic, disgusting things that he has said about me, for what? Side note, for what? For breaking some news? For getting it right? For not kissing his ass? For not cupping his balls? For what? Of all the things that he has said, there has only been one. There has only been one that has stuck with me, that hurt me right here, that made me think a certain way, that was like a spear in the heart. There has only been one that has stayed with me, that I can hear it in my brain. And that was back in 2016. That was back after the UFC 199 incident. That was a couple days after the unbanning. And Dana was on UFC Filtered with Norton and Sarah, and he was talking about this whole thing, and he was saying that I was, throwing a pity party for myself, and they were making fun of me, and he was talking about how I was a scumbag and a this and a that, and making and perpetuating these lies. And in the interview, which I'm not going to play, he was making fun of the fact that when I spoke about it on this show in a different studio, I got very emotional. And this is the one thing that when I saw it and when I heard it, I was like, fucking hell, I can't believe he went there. I can't believe he went to this level. I can't believe he stooped so low. Because again, you don't like me as a journalist, you don't like me as a host, you don't like me as a newsbreaker, fine. But you don't go to a certain level. That's what I've always believed. And that's what I've always tried to hold on to, no matter what, even though so many others have tried to make it personal. And in the interview with those guys, if you want to call it an interview, they were talking about me crying, and he said something to the effect of like, that I look like a wuss, and your kids are going to see that. Your kids are going to see that one day. And how embarrassed they would be by seeing their father cry, by seeing their father get emotional, after he was just, verbally assaulted, after other shit has happened, after he was told his career was over, after he was told that there was a bullet in his head, that he was done. Your kids are going to see that. And I could not believe that he would go to that level, that he would talk about my family. That has stuck with me since 2016. That has always remained with me. That's the kind of person that he is. You don't talk about people's families. You don't talk about people's kids. You don't talk about any of that. That has always stuck with me. What are your kids going to say about that? And I'll be honest with you, when he said it, I thought to myself, what are my kids going to say about this? And I know what my kids are going to say. I know what they're going to say. I know forever that they're going to say that, I stood up for myself and I told the truth and all that stuff. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have nothing to hide. But I've never forgotten it. And so on this day, I'll raise the same freaking question that he raised about me back in 2016. What are your kids going to say about you? What are your kids going to say about your legacy, about the way you treat fighters, about the way you treat people, about your business practices? What are your kids going to say about that video? What are your kids going to say about the kind of person that you are? What are your kids going to say about you? Ask yourself that fucking question. What are your kids going to say about you? Awards coming up. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a second.